Good morning, everybody, and this is your S&P 500 day trade setups for today. So we're still stuck in this range. We do have a little bit of a grouping of the the faster moving off moving averages. But if you have a look at the oscillators, we've got a crossover. We're pointing down. Everything here is pointing to a rejection of this area right up here, and that is 4200. So as I said yesterday, 4074, 4075 area, it needs to break, come back and test it for me to be convinced we're moving back down. Otherwise, we need to pay attention to the top of the range. So that's kind of the view that I've got, and it hasn't really changed since middle of last week. And you can see how every time we come down to this area at 4074, the buyers tend to step in. The one thing which is materializing though at the moment is we have a series of lower highs, and that is basically starting to look like a flat bottom triangle setup. So any break here of 4074 definitely going to move you down into this area here, which would be around 3973. For us to start looking for longs, we need to be looking at breaks above the current weekly high right now. So if we get down to the 1 hour and we sort of have a look at what transpired yesterday, just pure confusion again. You can see we got above the moving averages, got in the vicinity of the sort of trend line here, and then started selling off later in the session. So the buyers did try to come back in over here, but that failed. You can see there was sort of some buyers coming in as the market closed, but then this morning we've had a pretty much 0.5% move to the downside. I'm not convinced either way yet. I'm not convinced of that diagonal. Only thing I'm convinced of is that we are in a range, and while we're in a range, I am sitting quietly on the sideline and waiting for better structure. So if we look at the 15-minute for yesterday, again, there was let's use this level. There was a pin bar. It wasn't even. Oh, there was a pin bar retest there. Got a nice double bottom there, and then immediately didn't get the follow through and drop below. So this is what I mean. Whenever you're in amongst moving averages, it's really difficult to try and guess which direction it's going. If it's not a clear test on the moving averages, then I typically just leave it alone and don't bother with it. And that's exactly what transpired yesterday. The only clear test that we did get was this break here. So you can see there is a sort of a fractal there on the 15-minute, and you can see we dropped below it, came back, moving averages in that area as well, and then there was the short opportunity there. But that was really late in the session, so typically I'm not even bothering with the market at that point. So for me today, it could be a continuation to the downside. What I would be looking at is pretty much, there's a little bit of a zone here. So what we're looking for is a rejection of this. We have had a rejection already, but look at the oscillators at the moment, not really interested in that right now. So if we do start getting a rejection of this area, and you can see on the hour, that would be a retest of the 155 break. But then I suspect we'll be held up down here at 4074. So for me right now, this is still clearly a sit on hands. Not interested in this until we break one of these levels. So if we break this level here, 4074, and we come back and retest, that would be a range break retest, and that's going to give you a 1,100 point move to the downside. And I think I've got 117, and yeah, you're going to be held up somewhere in this area here. So yeah, nothing really else that I can add to that. Oscillators are indicating that we are coming to bottom of range, and you can see if we go to the 3 hour here, you'll see group to the downside, group to the upside, group to the downside, group to the upside, group to the downside, and pretty much just all over the place. So clear range, nothing really to write home about. Although on the 3 hour we do have a crossover of the moving averages, which you could expect some buyers to come in. But for me, this is sit on hands. Not even worth getting yourself into a mess on this. I hope that helps, and we'll hopefully get something brewing later in the week when we eventually break some structure for us to pick a direction. Anyway, that's all from me today. I hope it helps, and we'll catch up with you tomorrow morning. Cheers for now.